Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me is Kura and James and Malachi. How's it going, guys?
Oh,
Beautiful, beautiful. It's a beautiful day.
Missing Rob and Javi right now. They might join in at some point. All right, guys. Hey, let's just jump into the thick of it. Okay. Another question that's going to be asked right away. Does this victory for Canelo mean he is undisputedly also now the pound for pound king?
Absolutely. He was already the pound for pound king. So this just solidified it. It actually widened the gap. Now, Crawford might be able to close it a little if he has a spectacular performance against Porter. But Canelo was already the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. The only people that really didn't recognize him as such were, I would call, the haters. He's got the best resume. You look at him, he's a four division world champion. Now he's an undisputed champion at 168, the first in history, the first Mexican undisputed champion in history. There's no question that Canelo Alvarez is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear an argument against it, but honestly, I don't think right now anybody would have a leg to stand on for the most part. As much as it may pain some other people to hear.
I would agree with it just based on activity. I mean, he's been the most active fighter with some electrifying knockouts going back to Kovalev, and he's stopped pretty much everyone in his tracks. So it's rare to see anyone reach a decision against Canelo. It's happened, but he's just strong, and he's a lot better than he's ever been. He has improved, so every aspect of his game has improved, and we saw it on Saturday night. Although some people may disagree, right, Sakura?
I have a feeling we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but yeah, as far as resume goes and everything else, it's hard to actually argue it against. But as Malachi said also, I mean, let's say Crawford walks in there and just demolishes Porter within 2 rounds. I mean, nobody's ever done that to Showtime Sean Porter. So that would make a big statement, but even then, that's just one fight. I think that would put him maybe solidify the number 2 spot. But to compete at number 1, I don't know. It's going to take more than that. I do want to hear what Sakura's going to say, though.
Well, I was going to let it roll into the tweet of the week to make my point.
Okay. Well, I've always wanted to start that in the show a little earlier, so let's just go ahead and go to it. Sakura. I need like a sound effect too. Sakura's tweet of the week as it comes up.
Like dun dun dun. All right, so we got Gervonta Davis, and he's stating Canelo is me at 168. Facts. Well, I guess my question to you guys is, do you think that's accurate? And if it is, well, based on the calculation that we put pound for pound number ones on, basically on that status when they have a lot of power and they can knock out their opponents, why isn't Gervonta Davis on the pound for pound list? So first question is, why isn't he on the list? The second question is he right? Is he the small version of Canelo?
Not yet anyway. Just clever marketing. I mean, they're doing a lot to market. The marketing aspect of Gervonta Davis, they're on point. They got game when it comes to marketing, and the kid can fight. He's a smart kid. But they tend to extend out a little bit too much with his greatness. Yeah, you know what? I think he's going to be one of those top dogs in his division at some point. But geez.
Lucas is already seeing where I'm going with this. But go ahead.
No, I want to see where you're going.
No, just please keep going. I mean,
what I'm saying is
he's not a smaller version of Canelo. I mean, let's keep on that road.
I don't think he is a smaller version of Canelo yet, and I don't think he's got the fights. He's got some electrifying knockouts, but he's well on his way, but not yet.
Yeah, I see similarities.
Let me remind you something. Canelo's got 60 fights. He's got 1 loss. How many fights in total does Gervonta have?
Real fights, probably about the
Yeah.
same.
Professional fights.
No, I'm gonna just leave that at that. But Lucas, go ahead. Just your turn. You tell us what's up.
I was gonna say I see similarities in Canelo and Gervonta, but mainly no. I mean, it's just the resume's not there yet. If he had some bigger names, racked up already, then and just a bigger resume overall, then we can make more comparisons. But that's a big thing to say right now when, like I said, Canelo's pound for pound king.
I give him credit and say he's on his way up there.
I mean, there's definitely some things like how he did Leo Santa Cruz was amazing.
Sure.
Does that spot not deserve to maybe land him in the top 10? That I would say maybe crack the bottom of it. But,
Well, I like to remind everybody of the fight that he had against Barrios at 140. The way that fight went, and the fact that it was a late stoppage, very similar to what we saw with Canelo Saturday night, as far as the rounds and then the knockout towards the end of the fight. So that's one way in which I think, yeah, they do have some similarities. But yeah, I mean, pound for pound, I just feel like if you're gonna have number one be Canelo, why not at least have Gervonta Tank Davis on the list as well, with similar attributes as far as the skill, the power, and basically we're now doing pound for pounds based on how many fans you have and how much money you garner. Those are also now factored into pound for pound lists. I had that deep discussion with a manager and scout from Mayweather Promotions a few weeks back, and basically that's what it is. It's like, if you can't sell, if you can't this or that, then how are you pound for pound greatness? Well, I'm a purist, of course, so I think that other attributes are more important than sales. But that doesn't make fights. Fights are made based on the money aspect of things. So if we're going to add that factor into it, then yes, we do have to say Canelo is pound for pound number one. Now, greatness, I can't go that far. But if we're going to add in the attribute of making a lot of money, having a multitude of fans behind you, and also getting the KO, that's what people want to watch. The fans want. I love good KO. So I feel like those are things that put you on the pound for pound list. That is true. It's accurate. But are we really basing it on the things that we used to traditionally base a pound for pound list on? I mean, I guess that's my next round of questions.
Unfortunately, I would say money does play a part into boxing on whether you're considered great for this purpose, okay? Everybody else is searching for Canelo because he's worth so much money, and what does that do for Canelo? Right? That builds his resume and makes it better. You have a guy like Golovkin that people are avoiding at all costs. It costs his greatness. Now, don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Miguel Cotto. Golovkin takes that Cotto out. In fact, if you compare them, I would say Golovkin may look better than Canelo in a lot of his opponents. I think he even allowed Angulo to stay around way, way too long, which at that point, Angulo was a shadow of his former self. Every fight I can think of, for the most part, I think Golovkin goes just as well. As Canelo would have performed in his resume. So, yes, money plays a part into it because you're able to get those fights. Because people are not going to say no. It's a lottery ticket. Why would you turn it down?
Right.
Meanwhile,
and that is the factor.
Golovkin can't get a fight to save his life.
Yeah, and he's aging out. He's starting to decline from the last two fights that we saw him in. He didn't look that that stellar like he used to.
Yeah.
And yet still we're seeing where people are still like, nah,
And
I want to wait a little bit longer on him.
well, I'm not even. I didn't mean to make it about Golovkin. That's just an example of how it's
Right.
used. You know what I mean? I just think he was the first thing that popped into my head because, Rigondeaux. He's not worth the money. He's definitely not worth the risk. But he's an amazing fighter. He could have been moved up the pound for pound list. He's not given the opportunities. The people that make the money are going to get the opportunities that they want to succeed. Meanwhile, the people who do not have a fan base are going to be working uphill fights like Gabe Rosado, who fights this weekend.
Yeah,
Should be a good fight.
A good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point because of the fact that now people get to say things like, "Oh, well, their resume wasn't all that good. Oh, who they fought."
And not enough.
It's all based on the fan base and the money aspect.
And not enough people. Now, I'm not saying that Canelo hasn't earned some slots like we talked about last week.
Right.
He did say that he wanted to fight Lara, and his handlers were trying to maneuver him away from that. However, a lot of people don't have those handlers. A lot of people are thrown to the wolves and say, "You better go fight for your fucking life." Not, "Oh, well, this is not a good step up for you." You know what I mean? Not everybody's out looking for everybody's best interest. I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean to cut you off. But
So you mentioned money, and money is involved. Money is part of the equation. I'm talking about Floyd Money Mayweather. He's involved in this Gervonta Davis business, and they're going to market out of Gervonta Davis.
you would think they would have already been doing it, though. They've been doing a failing job right now. Failing
Every
great.
possible angle. You know what? You can say they're getting an F or a D minus, whatever you want. They're working him. That's where you get these quotes like, "Oh, I'm the mini Canelo," or whatever you want to call it. That's all fine. That's all fine. It's a big part of this is marketing. Mayweather did it extremely well. He was always in the conversation. When he retired, he was still in the conversation.
And he's still in
about
the
it.
conversation because
Yes,
they
you're
had
right.
this weekend saying,
You're right.
that Floyd was, the one that made Canelo look bad. I mean,
Yeah.
me personally, I don't count that loss against Canelo because he was so young and he was learning and he at least took that loss and was able to build off of it. But
Yeah,
a lot of people use that as the main, like, "Oh, Floyd makes everybody else look regular,"
Yeah, as I read it, he said these guys are considered extraordinary, but I made them look ordinary.
Ordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was
And
it.
so, yeah, and you know what? The guy is a marketing genius.
Of course. I mean,
When he retired, they started talking about some particular fight. I think it was Canelo. And I mentioned this prior on this show. All of a sudden, his name is back in the news, back in the discussion.
That's
and
all
he's
it takes.
retired. He was retired.
He-
And he just knows how to do it. He knows how to work it. He works every angle.
well, he stays up to date on boxing, and he knows how to work, that marketing aspect. So, a good way he turned in Robert Guerrero, who really we should have known. Nobody had a chance, but he knew everybody was comparing that Andre Berto horrible shoulder roll and was like, "Oh, maybe Robert Guerrero can get around it." Like, no, he can't. But he keeps his nose to the grindstone and knows when things like that pop up and takes advantage of those opportunities when people are kind of at their peak at popularity.
Right.
Victor Ortiz and wipes them out and gets a lot of money doing so. I mean, in a way, he's kind of been Jake Paul in some of these people. Now, it may not have been as easy as that, but it's not really much different when we get down to it. But let's go. We're way off topic. Let's get back to Canelo and Canelo. What amazing fight, guys. Let's talk a little bit about it. I know it sounds like me and Sakura's scorecards are going to be very different from you, James, and Malachi. It sounds like you guys had it a little bit more wide for Canelo. I don't know. Did you score it, or was it just more of a kind of keep track?
No, I scored it with the sound. I'm trying to bring up my score here. I scored it with the sound down completely because I do not need any help. And no, seriously, man, I'm talking about these cats, man. They just don't shut up. And I don't know, man. So after 10 rounds, 9-7, 9-3. 97-93. So I didn't score it very well for I didn't give Plant that much And I do want to say that one of the judges had it 2 rounds for Plant. The other had 3 rounds for Plant. The other had 4 rounds for Plant. The average, 3 rounds for Plant. I think that's what I have. So it's kind of like I'm on board with them or them. But as far as scores go, it doesn't tell you the story of the fight, though.
Yeah, it's so bad right now.
It's just numbers.
Like,
Those are just
you can
numbers.
look up an old fight and look up the judges' scorecards, and you're like, oh, okay, so that was kind of a close fight, or oh, that was completely wide. And you can have faith in the fact that you're getting a good picture of the fight. But now you go to these judges' cards on BoxRec, and you're just like so confused. Like, okay, so which one of these do I eliminate? You know, because it's like they didn't even bother watching the fight, really, you know. But that's a separate conversation for another day. But James, I do want to say, like, I know you're into the small guys, and you're into the footwork, and you're into the boxing IQ, and you're into, you know, the slipping away and the misses and things like that. So that's why I'm a little perplexed as how you came up with that score being so wide, being that I know for a fact that you are the type of person that does appreciate
because
that type of boxing skill. But I mean, it's not for everybody, that's for sure. Especially not when it's against Canelo, right?
Yes, no, but I'll give you the short version of that question, or the short answer to that question, is that his punches were not that effective. His jab was okay in the first few rounds. His right hand, his hook, his left, just not very effective punching. Canelo never felt any of those punches. He did land. I'm not taking anything away from Plant. He did land some punches perfectly well, but he didn't have an effect on Canelo. Canelo's punches were hurting him. Those jabs were getting in, the hooks were getting in, the uppers were getting in. Again, credit to Plant. He landed some good blows, but in the end, just not enough.
Right, and that goes to speak to Canelo having a wonderful chin. I mean, he does have a great chin. There's no doubt about it. I've never, like, you know, came out and said that he doesn't have a great chin, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the punches, like, that he didn't feel some of them.
And I have not seen Canelo's head bounce like that since Golovkin.
Right. But you know what? There's really no way to put this in clear terms, because everyone's got different criteria, and I'm looking for effective blows, and there's no way to say, okay, 3 jabs that Plant landed are equivalent to one of Canelo's right hands or something. There's just no way to do that. There's no equivalence there. So it's very subjective.
The effectiveness also comes into play when you're talking about what it makes your opponent miss or what it makes them not do. So effectiveness, I mean, I hear what you're saying about effective aggressiveness. That's what you're talking about. But like, it's also to do with more than just like the power of a punch. It's supposed to be doing more of the fact that it's what is making the other opponent not be able to do. But I didn't like the thing that got me about Canelo for those first 9 rounds. You know, I just felt like there was a lot of following Plant around, and you know, he was being aggressive with it. Yeah, he was being aggressive with it, but he like, you know, forcing him back to fight on his back foot. But at the same time, he really was not trying to land too much. I know he was breaking down the back body, he was targeting the body, but I did feel like there was a lot of loose space in there in those moments. You know, I felt like, especially in the 9th round, to me, like Plant was like really showcasing like what he's all about. And then which is
what? His good foot movement. His foot movement was
the jab, the foot movement, the making you miss, the still popping you with a shot like a he was doing that Mayweather pop with the right hook thing that he likes to do. He was doing that in that.
Are you talking about the shoulder roll?
No, not the shoulder roll.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
No, I'm talking about when he actually would, like, you know, it's a counter punch, but it's like a little short pop. and then he's out and he's already turning a different way. But that's when I really got disgusted, because I was like, Steve Farhood, Farwood.
Yeah.
Oh my God, with that particular round, I'm like, okay, now y'all are just kissing ass. Like, that's how I felt. Like, you just want to make sure that, Canelo wants to come back and fight with Showtime for one more fight or something. Because, that was a round in which, even Canelo was like looking like, okay. Like, I don't appreciate that, the way you hooked me after that. So, I just seen like a lot of nuances. I do appreciate Canelo and his skill. I like his power, of course. I still am not like feeling like he's like the greatest when it comes to looking good against a slick boxer. And this is what I come up against every time he's, dealing with a Lara, dealing with a Trout, dealing with a Plant now. Like, it just seemed like we get these lackluster rounds to me.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between Lara. As far as slickness goes, there's a big difference between Lara and Plant. Plant's got two left.
I'm not saying it's not, but it's still the same effect where Canelo is not looking as good as he, as you think that he should be looking to me.
Well, okay, but Plant, going back, Plant's got two left feet. Now, if you want to see Canelo look good, you need someone who's going to stand and exchange with Canelo. Then you'll see how good Canelo is.
Okay, so don't try to box. Basically, you said drop the mic on him, on people standing right there and not using boxing principles.
It does feel that way, right? It feels like we went from Floyd Mayweather to Rock'em Sock'em now, and it's some of the skills are diminished.
Yeah,
now,
stand right in front of me, and then you'll see Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants that game.
Oh, of course, but Plant's lateral movement was pretty bad. He doesn't have lateral movement. I think he's got two left feet.
I mean, his movement wasn't the best, but it definitely caused a lot of problems for Canelo. And
more
problems.
I don't understand what problems he would have.
Let's let Malachi chime in. Let's let Malachi.
I just want to say that Canelo was far more methodical than he's ever been.
Canelo was the ring general. Canelo landed the more effective. You break down all 5 of the criteria for judging. Canelo outperformed him. I had it.
How did I know you would say that, Malachi?
I had Canelo 3 rounds at the stoppage. I don't know what people were giving Plant, or they were just being like having pity on him, like, oh, let's just give him that round because it was a little close. Because I don't like, he was like, his punches weren't having any effect. His lateral movement wasn't having no effect. Canelo was cutting off the ring, putting him on the ropes whenever he wanted.
He was cutting off the ring a lot.
I didn't see that, buddy.
You're gonna say he was following him around the ring, but he like, because you scored it. I seen your scorecard. It was like even going into the 11th round. You had it like even.
No, he had 6 rounds. Actually, he had 6 rounds.
But it was 96-94 for Plant.
Okay.
I had it even.
Plant?
I had it even going into the 11th. But
what rounds were you
had
giving him?
even one more, and he like went for Canelo. And I'm just like this, like, what happened to all this breaking your chin business? And what happened to, it's going to be an early, stoppage, an early KO, and this and that. And now here we are, it's lingering on. There was a few rounds where I didn't see either one of them doing shit.
Right. I mean, there's no disputing who won. I mean, it's clear he got the knockout.
He actually.
You got to get the knockout. That's what the plan was. The plan was to slow down Caleb, let him run himself out. You know what I'm saying? Stop boxing, start getting tired, and then bam, we'll get him. That was
did he execute?
It was amazing.
But did he execute?
Like I said, it worked. It was amazing. But let's not act like it's greatness. Like, I go to these local shows and I see
Why isn't it greatness? Like, I just don't think you like
because
Canelo.
I see the same type of strategies with people that are local that are not considered A-sides. They
can't move their head. They can't move their head the way he does. They can't pull off step back uppercut counter. They can't pull off full counter.
Let me like do 9 or 10 rounds of letting him run around. He's gonna get tired. He's gonna stop boxing. He's gonna like put his arms down or his hands down. We'll hit him in his, shoulder a couple of times or his arm. He gonna tire himself out, and then bam, we can land something. it's cool. It's a good strategy to win. The object is to win, but it's not like it's amazing, like, you know, a skill
When he
level was
fights
being used
defensively-
in this fight.
But
This
it
fight
doesn't
was
have to.
not no
It
huge-
doesn't.
When he
It
fights
does.
defensively great, y'all say he's boring. Oh, he don't do what he needs to do.
When
he
did
fights
he do
defensively
that?
great.
What?
He's fought
What?
defensively great a few times.
No. You
Look
say that, but
go
what
look at how many
fight was
times
it
he
that you're
made
talking about? What
Daniel
fight is it
Jacobs
that you're
miss.
talking
Go
about?
look
What
at
fight
how-
is it? What fight is it that he was doing so technical and somebody said it was boring?
Go watch him and Danny Jacobs.
Are you want to do
Motherfuckers were
fielding?
complaining. They
You
were
want to do fielding?
complaining. Oh, this is horrible.
You want to do
watch him
fielding?
fight Cotto.
Okay.
Watch him
All
fight
right.
Cotto.
Okay.
Cotto, he was
I-
defensively great
Oh
in
my
that fight.
God, Cotto was out of his weight class. You can't
That's-
count.
He won the
People
belt
that's
at
out of their weight
154.
class,
How can you blame
think
Canelo
it's
for coming and
amazing.
taking
Like,
it
what's
from
wrong
him?
with y'all?
What?
Let's
The
get off track,
WBC
people.
The WBC allowed it. It's their
What
fault.
is wrong with y'all
Cotto
that
won the
think
belt
it's
at a
like,
catchweight,
oh,
but
let
y'all
me
not
use
even
Cotto,
defended
or
it at
let
a
me use
catchweight because it's
Amir
Canelo.
Khan,
But
or
when-
let me use
when you
these
complaining,
welterweights that
when
went
you
up
beat
and
my
fought
man
people that's
at
way
a
bigger than
catchweight
him,
for the
and
belt.
that was greatness.
All right,
Like,
all right,
come
all
You
on.
guys, you
Yeah.
guys, I gotta say this. I watched Canelo Cotto a few times. Absolutely love that fight. That was an excellent fight. Now, Malachi, I got a question for you.
How is it a great fight,
Ma-
though? I don't understand. I mean, it's
Co-
somebody that's
Cotto
fighting
Canelo.
out of their weight class. Like,
Cotto
way
Canelo.
out of their weight class.
Cotto Canelo was an
He
excellent
won
fight.
the strap at a catchweight, and you mad he defended it at a catchweight. That
At a
doesn't make any sense.
catchweight. That's the key words right there. At a
He
catchweight.
won the belt at a
But
It
go
catchweight.
happens.
ahead. I mean, go
Cotto,
ahead.
It happens.
Cotto won the belt
Go
at a
ahead.
catchweight.
It happens
Yeah.
in boxing, but Malachi, I just wanted to ask you. I said he was methodical in this, meaning that he had a game plan and he executed to perfection. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely,
Talk-
he was
talk-
picking
talking
his,
about
he was
Canelo.
picking his timing. He was waiting to catch him. He was trying to counter him. I think he figured out that Plant couldn't really hurt him. Going to the body was effective, and I think he bid his time until he knew that he had him. And when he had him, Canelo was a finisher. He went and put him out. I mean, I don't understand anything you could
Feel
want
like
from
if
the
it
man.
was all like that,
Look.
Malachi, why did we have to sit through 9 or 10 rounds of it? It should have been like a second
Wait,
round KO.
you're the same
according
person
to
that told us how
according
good
to what
Plant
you're
was.
saying.
Last week,
According to
you
what you're
told us
saying,
how great
it should
Plant
have been
was.
a first or
Now
second
Plant
round
goes out
KO.
there
That's
and
all I'm
fights a
saying.
good fight.
You
But it
saying
wasn't
that,
good
but
enough.
at the same time, that should have happened earlier in the fight. Then, if that was the case, if he figured
If
out
that
he
was the
couldn't
case,
hurt
then Plant
him,
wouldn't have been a world champion, right?
I'm just saying, if he figured out he couldn't hurt, if
I
he figured
remember
out that Plant couldn't hurt
you
him,
and Rob.
if he
I
was
remember
trying to
you
counter
and
him,
Rob.
why the hell did we sit through 9 damn rounds then? Shouldn't it have been an earlier knockout? I mean, the things you say when you're defending Canelo, it just don't make sense to me.
Perhaps
I
he
wish
could have.
did.
Perhaps
All
he
right,
could
look.
have knocked him out earlier. He didn't. He
maybe.
broke him down.
I got a couple of things to say about it, okay? Because, I mean, just because we can't argue, obviously, that Caleb Plant won. Okay? That's not in dispute. He won, and he won, and I'm going to tell you how he won, okay? He broke down the defense. He did not do anything. He broke through his defense. If you notice, even the knockout punch, he had it home. It just wasn't all the way home. He couldn't hold his arms up anymore because of how many blocked punches Canelo was just eating away at his arms. He was landing everything he could. Those lefts, and yeah, the Philly shell was blocking it, but that don't matter after a while. You can't lift your goddamn arms to block. He punched his way through that Philly shell, that shell's in all kinds of pieces, and he walked through them there in the 11th round to do so. My hat's off to him for that. He knew what he had to do, and he did it. My only thing is still the scorecards, okay? I respect Canelo for even taking this fight because, again, everybody with eyes can see Canelo does not do well with slickness. He does not. And Sakura, I'm with you there. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, he's taking those fights.
Hey, I can take the heat myself. You don't gotta be.
I'm
gonna speak my truth.
I'm being true too.
Who
Okay.
the fuck got something to say about it?
I'm being true too.
I got beat
I'm
up
just
on
saying.
Twitter and Facebook the other day about it. I'm like, shoot, bring it on, because I'm not lying for no damn body.
Right.
I'm not kissing nobody's ass. It is what I saw. What I saw is what it is.
And I'm with you.
That's with every boxing match I see.
But at the same time, he's been taking these fights and he won. He won this one without dispute.
Yeah.
Lara was disputed because that one actually went to the decision. This one didn't get that far, so there's no disputing it. My only problem is for Plant, because I honestly think he fought a better fight than what he was given, and the scorecards will forever kind of taint that. And people are going to say he just walked through them, and that didn't happen. I mean, he was in that fight until late. And I think if it switched around and maybe, that was Floyd Mayweather-Madonna, because it did have a lot of the same looks, that, that scorecard goes differently. It goes towards more the defensive fighter, more the guy who's trying to be out on the outside and be slick. And 9 out of 10 times, it is scored when visually you see that style come through. And for the most part, I saw Caleb Plant's style come through in that fight.
I didn't. I thought he was gun shy the entire time, knowing that if he got in a firefight with Canelo, it was over.
Even if you look
And
gun
you know what?
shy,
When
though.
Canelo wanted it over, it was over. After the 5th round, he started cutting off the ring. He wasn't doing that early. He was following him around. When he started cutting off the ring, it was over.
Well, he
And
didn't do that
it
earlier.
wasn't immediately
I
over.
gotta
Just like he
give
didn't
Plant
knock him out
credit.
late. He didn't
Yes.
do that earlier. Okay?
Here's
So
the
you
thing.
can't
Last
credit
week-
him for it.
So you're taking
Last week,
points away
Sakura
from
and Rob told us, they told us how great Plant was, right? And I got to give him credit. He proved he belongs on the stage. I thought he looked the part,
Better than
particularly
most
early
people
on in the
thought he
fight. Exactly. But now that Canelo has knocked him out, right? I just hear the same people like, oh well, he should have did better against Plant. But everyone was telling us how good Plant was going into the fight that was back in Plant. But now all of a sudden, since Canelo knocked him out, it's a different story.
Well, my take was what actually James just said is, he as soon as he wanted to, like he couldn't cut off the ring earlier. I mean, that's still scoring. It sounds like power is being weighed a little too heavy.
Because Canelo
No, but-
won, he's saying you shouldn't be saying that now.
I just think that you guys are discrediting Canelo for not knocking him out in the first round.
No,
No,
that
not
was
at all.
y'all argument. Y'all was saying
Yeah,
that.
that's kind of what
Canelo
you were
did this,
saying.
that, and
It
that.
sounds like
And
you're
I was
saying
just
Canelo
saying,
could
well, if
have.
that's true, then you're
and
saying
didn't.
that he should have did it earlier. That's
He
all
could
I'm
have.
saying.
He could have, but he didn't. He chose to fight and box and execute his plan, and it wasn't a first round knockout. It wasn't in the plan.
Okay, but
It's pretty simple.
if he didn't do it, you can't credit him for not doing
Real
it.
simple.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't do that, so those rounds are still scored.
No, I'm
and
not.
They
I'm
still
not.
went towards Plant.
Even the
anyways.
early rounds, like I gave Plant round 1, gave him round 1, but then I gave Canelo round 2 and round 3. So I've seen a lot of people had Plant at 3-0 at one point. I was like, wow.
That's a little harsh.
I think it happened like that, Malachi, mainly because it was looking like Canelo was forcing him back on his back feet those beginning rounds, even with him jabbing. And, judges are going to reward that, whoever's forcing the action. It looked like he was forcing the action, but it goes back to what James was saying, is whether or not it was effective or not. But, like, you're pushing somebody back, but you're not actually really, punching them a lot. So that's where the issue come in with them beginning rounds, as to, okay, well, Plant's making a miss. He is like landing a couple of pot shots or combinations that he didn't feel in the beginning rounds. So it makes it where the judges are like, well, do I go for that aggression or do I go for the actual punches that landed? And, even though they're supposed to do it a certain way, we heard from our judge that James brought on that all of that matters. They're looking at the entire situation and judging in that way. So I think that's where the confusion, where the different scoring came in with those early rounds.
I mean, honestly, it felt to me like Canelo was actually awarded more for blocked punches than Caleb was for either blocking or just evading and countering. And it felt like that. Like, he's blocking, and everybody's like, oh, and a left lands by Canelo. I'm like, no, that's not landing. None of that landed. There would be several combinations where Caleb blocked everything, and would even retaliate, and it's like he's not getting credit for these things. Like I said, when's the last time that you've seen Canelo's head get popped back like this? Golovkin. Obviously he doesn't have power, or he would have been, out, or at least, a little bit more timid to coming in. So yes, he did still come in, and he still landed his punches. It just felt like power right now, especially when it comes to Canelo, is being overlooked. Overall ring generalship, over countering, defense, footwork, everything else is being a little bit more overlooked than the power. And in no way am I not saying that Canelo doesn't have these things. I'm simply saying in this fight, how it played out for me made it seem like Plant was in favor a lot of these rounds. Now, they are some close rounds, but how many times do you take a couple of partially blocked Canelo punches that seem to have more effect, or the whole rest of the round that maybe Caleb Plant, looked better? That
and
wasn't
that's how a lot of those
powerful
fights are when it's a puncher versus a boxer puncher.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's the dynamic. It's like how the scoring is going.
It always leans that way because I mean, if you look at people like Brandon Rios, I love you, Brandon Rios, but you are not the most technologically savvy of a fighter, right? I mean, textbook wise, it's pretty thin. And he got in there with some pretty good boxers that at the end of the day, I was like, what the hell did they see, Power, I think, is always overrated in there. Unless you're with some big money guy, power's going to be number one.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they wrong for that, but I'm just saying, like, damn, y'all couldn't give, if he got the knockout and the scoring was going towards Canelo anyway, then damn, you couldn't at least like reward Caleb with some of these rounds, and you're making it seem like he's like totally shit in there, Yeah. I mean, these are people that like, I knew about Caleb Plant just because he's in the South, region with Memphis, Nashville, Tennessee. He's out in that area. So it's like, you're talking about boxers that really worked hard all these years, and then you get up to that level for a fight. Yeah, you got the payday, but you still, in Caleb's point of view, he wanted to also have a legacy. He wanted people to know that he was a slick boxer. And that kind of gets diminished when you're like, making these cards look like a fucking joke. So, I mean, that's where I'm at with that. That was my point on Facebook, but instead of people concentrating on that, they wanted to concentrate on the fact that I wasn't, supporting Canelo. Because he got like a beehive.
I just never saw a Plant that was very slick. Not in this fight. Other fights, yeah, not this one. He looked like he was in trouble from the get. There was not much he could do to beat
I was actually
Canelo.
shocked.
Very little.
I was shocked,
we saw a different
when he
fight,
was like standing in the pocket with him. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna get clamored. Like when he, like in the beginning of the fight, when he was like, he was like standing pretty close. And one thing that I did realize is that Caleb Plant knows his distancing. He knows when to step in, when to step the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot of that going on in them beginning rounds, too, that was kind of, like, overlooked because, we just want to root for Canelo so hard that we won't see any type of, goodness in somebody else that's fighting him. And I don't think that's right when it comes to judging. So I'm all with Lucas on that.
It's
very good
because I feel like we're taking away from the fight. I don't want to argue about the fight. I mean, I think it was a great fight, and I think the scores kind of diminished it for me. But overall, amazing win for Canelo. Like I said, I mean, he just broke his way through that Philly shell defense and got his knockout. Let's talk a little bit about Caleb Plant. Now, guys, do you fully expect Caleb Plant to be world champ again? Because I know he has been tweeting like, "Don't you worry, I've proven I'm at the elite, and I'm going to be back world champion again." Do you guys see him as elite and a world champion in the future?
I do. I think that Caleb's. I came away impressed with Caleb. Many aspects of his game. I didn't think he was at this level. I think I voiced that before because his resume was very lacking. We didn't really know I think maybe Caleb Truax was his best victory before this fight.
He didn't have a deep resume.
He didn't have a very good resume, and he does belong at this level. He's just not on Canelo's level, and there's nothing wrong with that because, again, Canelo is the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Should Canelo move out of the weight class and go to 175 and chase a title like I believe they've been talking about, maybe fighting David Benavidez or Charlo next, then, yeah, I could see Plant snatching up one of those vacant belts because coming into the fight, I probably would have favored Billy Joe Saunders over him, but I think that he could beat Billy Joe after this fight. So I can see him winning a world title, but Canelo's got to move out of the weight class first. But I got to jump off, man. I got overtime work. I got to jump on here real fast and holler at you guys about the Canelo fight.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on,
man.
Yeah. Love you, Malachi.
I love you too, Sakar. Have a good night. All right, James. I'll holler at you.
See you guys.
Sir.
I mean, we argue. We're family, so we get to argue. We're not always gonna be on the same side, especially not with Sakura A, right, Lucas? Because I'm not bending.
There's times, man, I know it popped off. I'm at work, right? I'm doing my little stuff. Look down at my phone, and there's 170 missed messages on WhatsApp, and I'm like, "Oh, they snapping off today."
Whoa.
Yeah, it be Tim. It was me and Tim. One day I think it was Sunday.
Right.
One day it was.
Right.
But overall,
that was intense.
Amazing fight. I really feel bad for Caleb Plant just for not getting the score, but I mean he's definitely going to get big fights, and I agree with Malachi. I think he is definitely going to be champ in the future, and I think he does prove that he's at the upper echelon of level there. Obviously Canelo knocked him out, so no debate in that. Canelo's above him, just as he said. But guys, what do you two think?
I don't feel bad for Plant at all. He walked away with a nice check. He did, he showed himself well. He did as best he could. He did embarrass himself in the ring. He just didn't get the win. It's all fine. So life goes on. Plant's happier than
I mean, I'm sure he is a little bit, yeah, but loss always hurts. This is his first. You got to remember he was undefeated until then.
And he doesn't have the belt. And I think a lot of people, they just want to go to the purse. Like, he got this amount of money, so he's straight. Yeah, but not really, because where do you go? I just want to say, where do you go after you fought who's supposed to be the best in the world? Like, who do you fight that's going to make you look even better than when you fought that world champion class level fighter? Where I mean, it's kind of like, well, he'll have other fights, but it'll never be compared to how good he would look against a Canelo or somebody, that's going to be the top dog in that division after this. That's the only problem with the scenario of, how and where do you go after you fought the best. It's kind of similar to what happens with, when people were fighting Mayweather. It's like, well, damn, now what do? You ain't getting no payday like that again unless they want a rematch. Madonna was the only one that was lucky enough to do that. So, it's like, what other fight are you going to take that's going to make people believe that you were as good as what you thought you were in a fight against Canelo? It's never going to happen.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine, though. I mean, he'll have it, we'll see it next year. At some point, he'll walk into a Boo Boo or Saunders or any one of those cats, man, and he'll show up. He'll show up. He's coming to the party. It's not over for Plant by any means. He's got a lot of gas in his tank.
Yeah.
You be back.
Lucas, that boo-boo name that James just mentioned, that's a fighter like you were talking about, where, because they're not the money person, their resume doesn't look as good, and they're having hard times trying to get elite fighters in the ring with them. So that's another great example of what you were speaking on earlier too.
Yeah, and Boo Boo's definitely not helping himself either. He needs to be in the ring. He needs to be more active, and it is hard to find Boo Boo fights. I mean,
I mean, but even when he's more active, and then he's fighting people that we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, usually lately it's been fighters from the UK that we don't have much knowledge on, which is not their fault. It's if we're gonna be boxing fans, we're supposed to know these people in the weight divisions. But
he's gonna have to take a gamble.
Even when he's active, it's still like it ain't enough. You know.
Boo Boo's gonna have to take a gamble. He's gonna have to take the low B side, get the money, get the win. Okay. So you'd be the underdog, but get the win. You need, the exposure because Lord knows Boo Boo does not have a following. It's not his fault. A lot of promotion issues going on there, and I know he's jumped ship a couple times, I do believe. So
as far as Blancos, you watch. You have a really, really good matchup. He'll be on an undercard for something, maybe a main event.
Right.
I got a little sidetracked, but I did want to touch on that.
Yeah.
This is kind of, I agree with Sakura and with you. I think this is the make it or break it type deal because, for example, like she was saying with Mayweather, a lot of people, once you lose, you're either thinking like, I got the money now, do I just retire? But I think it's a little bit different. For Canelo, this is his life. So after he lost to Mayweather, he just built, got better. Hopefully, with Plant, we will see him only get better out of this loss. I think he will.
My real curiosity is where Canelo goes. Does he move up and go after some 175ers? And can you say Joe Smith? But Joe Smith is top rank, so probably not. It all depends on who Canelo.
Canelo's a free agent now, so he has Canelo promotion, so he can float around to these different cartels. He don't have to be with one or the other.
Sure. And if he's, he's not going to go, not necessarily go back to the ASEAN, but if he does, he's going to fight the big 175ers. If he stays with PBC, it looks like,
honestly,
the usual suspects at PBC.
I don't even know who I'd be interested in anymore. I mean, what more does Canelo need to fight? Who for you guys? Because for me, I don't think my fight will ever happen. I want to see Bivol. And I think that is never gonna happen. Not enough money in that fight.
He's running out of opponents, so he's gonna have to start
Benavidez,
making bigger fights, or he can just retire and golf. But like if he does, like he's running real short on these opponents, which is the reason why they had a Darrell as the co-main event. Remember that uppercut was so sweet, by the way. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but the dog always delivers for me. Like
I like Darrell. You can't not like Darrell.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's why they had him as the co-main, and then then there's this Benavidez fight talk that's out there, which I don't think gets made. Even though they're trying to say he's entertaining it.
Maybe a Golovkin at 168, but I would even at this point I would favor Canelo. I would very much favor Canelo. One, because of the weight, and two, it's just Golovkin. Where's he been? I mean, he's definitely on the slide.
Well, we'll see Golovkin in December against Ryota Murata. I think they're fighting in Japan. We'll see if his skills have diminished, if his reflexes are not what they once were. But Canelo is definitely a lot sharper than he was. So I don't see that fight happening.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's even worth doing at this point.
I don't even want to see.
On top of that, it wasn't made when they were all together at DAZN. I doubt if it's going to be made now. It's like Canelo didn't want to fight then. He probably sure doesn't want it now. And what does Canelo gain by having a Triple G3?
Right, but the one that I really want to see is Charlo moving up to 68. And I just love to see Charlo because he's big, and his jab is outstanding, and that's going to give Canelo a lot of heat. I'd love to see that fight more than anything. Other than that, move up to 175 and possibly destroy Joe Smith. But that's it.
Well,
in a nutshell.
When you say Charlo,
Joe Smith, big dude.
Jamal Charlo moving up to 168 is something that's doable.
Sure.
And then, it is going to be more of someone that is in the physicality, that range that Canelo has. So that would be a different dynamic than what we've been seeing. So I would like it.
I think Charlo's just an amazing fighter, and I don't think we've seen the best Charlo yet.
No,
He needs
because
some
the
really
competition isn't.
serious
Hmm.
competition. And
Yeah.
against Canelo, Canelo might be favorite, but I don't care. I want to see this fight. I think that would be like just dynamite, and we're talking big.
I could
Well,
definitely see
that
it being
goes to the
close.
point of would they allow that to happen? Would they allow that to happen right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, would Canelo's team want that to happen right now, or would they want to get a little bit more money out of some other fights before even trying to take a risk like that with a
Honestly,
Charlo or
I
a
think so.
Benavidez?
I
think so.
agree. I think they're going to because honestly, I don't think Canelo's going to be one of these guys that fights into his 40s like Golovkin. I think he's going to get the good fights while he can, and he's out. I don't expect Canelo to last a whole lot longer, guys. Like 2 or 3 years, maybe, and gone.
Yeah.
And
But when you
uh,
mention Golovkin, I just see a complete derailment there. So I just can't wait to see this guy come back in December. But
it's marketable.
versus
That's the only reason I say it. I don't necessarily want to see it. I agree, James, with you. But at the same time, you got to admit, just showing the highlights of the first two fights, it's going to sell. It's going to sell a lot.
sure,
And
I agree there.
where's money?
Well,
There's always fight.
I mean, I watch it, even though I feel like we all know the outcome at this point.
And
Because
Sakura,
one is going up in a pinnacle of their career, and the other one is sliding down.
right?
Like, and then they just wasted so much time.
I agree. But at this point, also, who's everybody saying, "Hey, Canelo, you didn't beat him. You didn't beat him." Is Golovkin, and he can put that cherry on the top and say, "Boop, I beat your ass," because he might knock him out this time. Let's be honest.
Very
Golovkin's
possible.
not what he once was, and on top of that, Canelo has only been improving. I don't see this one being good for Golovkin, even if I do believe that he won the first one, draw the second. I don't think it's going to be good for that third fight, but I think there's a lot of money to be had there, and Canelo does get something with that cherry on top of saying that he knocked him out, just like a Marquez cherry on top too. He needs that.
You like it?
He wants that, and I think he's going to get
I
it.
don't think he wants it. I
Oh,
really don't.
I think he does. I think he's one of those people that actually do care, kind of what his fan base thinks. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fought Lar at all. And Plant he had to because of the Undisputed title, but he's got it. And I mean, not a lot left for him to prove. There's no one else that's his
Exactly.
that's his weight, that's at his class. We have
And
Terrence
what's he gonna
Crawford
do?
and
Move
Errol
all the way up
Spence.
to light heavyweight? Like, what is he gonna do?
Right. Like, there's so many options for Terrence Crawford to keep building, but Canelo's unfortunately going to plateau here pretty quickly. We have the Charlo fight, but that's about it. I don't
Do you
see him
guys-
fighting Bivol or anything like that.
You guys don't think he'll move up to 75?
If he does, I can
He's
see
been
him
there.
going with...
I-
I agree, but
I think so,
Kovalev
because he's
versus
been
a
there.
Benavidez or against a Bivol is a little bit harder. Now, Benavidez is a little bit more his
Yeah,
style because he's
it-
just
it
going to
is.
I think
stand there
Benavidez
and
is who he
trade.
would pick
I
at
can
that
see him going in there. It's a big money fight, and it's sure to be entertaining for however shortly long that one lasts. That one's going to be a la James Kirkland, probably. They're just going to go at it, Rock'em Sock'em style. But Bivol, I think, causes a lot of red flags for Canelo and his team, and everybody's probably not going to mess with that fight.
Yeah, my only issue there is that this is versus top rank fighters, I should say.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because you know how things get pushed and pushed and pushed, and it's that
Bob makes
development
deals.
phase is just really long. So
Bob makes deals.
I don't know.
He's willing. If his fighters are willing, I don't think he's ever really held on him back on purpose. I think, the Porter Crawford, that's another good step forward. I'm very looking forward to that fight. So
yeah, Bob Arum, I know you're watching. Lucas wants to see Bivol Canelo Alvarez.
that's right.
Make it happen. Make
Honestly,
it happen, Bob.
for me, that's all that's left. I think he beats Charlo. I want to see Bivol after that. I mean, just right off into the sunset.
No, me is Joe Smith, actually. At 175 would be Joe Smith.
I mean, that's a war, clearly. I mean, it's going to be fireworks, but but I want to see more. Is Canelo really at the top of that game? You know, there's the class levels as far as skill goes, and that's pretty high for Bivol.
Got to work his way into it, though.
I don't agree there, or don't disagree.
He's not going to go top, immediately. He's going to work into it.
Yeah, and if he does, so it'd be a really good fight.
I mean, I really don't care about none of those fights at 170.
Do you want to see him at all, or are you just done? See, now, for Caleb Plant has a ton of fights that I would love to see, you know. But I think Canelo's already proven he's kind of past some of that. But Caleb's still kind of new to the scene as far as, that A side goes, so.
I mean, it's intriguing, the Charlo thing that James was speaking on, but other than that, everything that you guys were mentioning, like, I think he has his way with a better BF pretty easily. Like, that's low risk for him. Bivol, that also is a situation where he might technically be sound, but is he able to withstand Canelo's power?
But better BF is so strong. I mean, at
He
some
is very
point,
strong.
I know Canelo has always blown up, right? He's always been that bigger guy. He's always been able to, I'll just get another 10 pounds on, weigh-in day. But the problem is, at some point, it's got to stop. He's been the weight bully as far as all weight bullies. He's king weight bully, okay? This point, though, it's going to run out, He's always been fighting down. When he's finally
That's why
fighting,
I don't see that Benavidez fight happening.
Right.
I don't think that's a fight he want to deal with. It's high risk because you're dealing with somebody that really is gonna be bigger than him.
And eventually that power catches up too, and Better BF and Joe Smith Jr. Whoo, they could punch. Okay, I don't know. We don't know if Canelo could take that kind of heat.
I mean, I just see it as it's made for Better BF style. It's like he's like James is saying, he watched Canelo when somebody stands right in front of him. That's that scenario. That's that Better BF style. So
Arthur Better BF is a bear, and he's vicious. Yeah. It's like fighting a wolf. So I don't know. I saw Canelo fight at 175, and he looked fine, size wise. I mean, he fit the suit, so let's see him back that up. That was Kovalev, and I don't think that was a very difficult outing.
That wasn't a motivated
no, not at all.
Kovalev.
Not at all.
None of that. That was a
you know what
definitely wasn't the Kovalev that fought, Andre Ward the first time.
The way it looked to me, it's like Andre Ward kind of like, he brought on some of that some of what we saw in the other fights. Like, I think it really diminished him some as a boxer, being in those two fights with Andre Ward. And
him.
Here's another thing about Kovalev that I got to say is that he just doesn't have that physique. He's not that big, squared up, cut up, chiseled up, 175er. He's, he just doesn't have it. He's kind of like Mikey Garcia. He doesn't have that big musculature. He can thump, no question about it. But, and when I saw him at this press conference before that fight, I was like, man, I was expecting to see a bigger guy. Like, if you look at the name that hasn't popped into this conversation, watch out, is Zurdo Ramirez.
Oh,
that man's sitting at 175. And that's a big Mexican. That's like the Mexican Civil War right there.
Yeah, and they've been trying to do some better promotion, marketing with him too.
Well, he's Golden Boy.
But see how his name just kind of wasn't even brought up all that time till you remembered. It's like it's not popping like that.
Yeah. Right.
To get in the mix. So something still isn't working as far as his marketing.
Oh, he's so much bigger than Canelo. My God, Zurdo is big. He's six. I think he's right around 6'4". 6'3", 6'4".
That's big. That's a David Goliath fight.
He's big.
All right, guys.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Canelo's thick. I mean, he's like a tree stump.
Yeah.
He's what we ladies call beefy.
Yep.
He's beefy. So.
All right. Yeah, let's move on here. I know we've kind of beaten the Canelo plant up quite a bit here. James, I did want to get you to talk about Michaela Mayer. I know you said it was a great fight. Me and Sakura missed it. I did try to catch some highlights. I'm going to rewatch that full fight here within the next day or two. But it sounds like, James, not to put words in your mouth, but the scorecards definitely didn't reflect the fight.
No, I can see that a lot of European fighters would say the hell with going to the United States and get jobbed like that. One of the judges had it 10-0, and Sakura, I'd love to get your opinion on that fight. So please watch it and let us know how you feel about that one. Hamadouche is tough, and she comes out and she's a high volume puncher. She fights the inside. She fights it really well. She's got a nickname like Poison in Spanish, Veneno, and it's kind of like paying tribute to the Mexican fighters, the Mexican style, so to speak. And she brings it, and she fights inside beautifully. And I just didn't think that Michaela Mayer would reciprocate in the way she did. I was expecting her to stay on the outside and box and jab and move and, fight a minute of the round on the outside and then maybe close in and score some points. That didn't happen. What happened was that Michaela met her on the inside and started exchanging with her from the get. And I'm talking like from the very first second of the first round, they were on each other. And it was really, really awesome chess match there. Hamadouche is just an amazing fighter. And I was really shocked to see.
Mexican, James? She's a Mexican?
No, I think she's from Paris. She's actually a police officer in France. I think she's in Paris. I'm not sure. It's a big country. But extremely good condition, because she fought 10 rounds like a lion. And I was really shocked. I really thought that Mayer would, really employ a completely different game plan and just met her center ring, and they went heads. And it's just, I don't know. I'm telling you, fight of the year there for women, easily, hands down. It's just an excellent fight.
We had our ladies' night last week, and we were just talking about like that lightweight division, that super featherweight and lightweight division right now is real good as far as the talent, and there's more than one name that's getting mentioned in the conversation now. But when these judges' cards are like how you're saying that it ended up, it's like it's not doing women's boxing any favors, because that opponent would be a great opponent for other boxers, but we're kind of like minimizing their effectiveness.
Yeah, and she's got that style where it's all out, action packed. So she's probably got a really, really good following in France. Here, she's not that well known, but then look at how good Delphine Persoon is, and people never heard of Delphine Persoon here. She's an excellent fighter.
Right.
The one thing I did want to say about this fight, though, was that I thought that Michaela might not be able to keep that pace for 10 rounds. And she did. And she did it in flying colors. She finished really strong. And when she had to, she backed out a little bit and boxed. But generally, she was back in it, connecting to the body with lefts. Left hook to the body, right to the body. And then body head. It was like shit that you don't see men do. That's for sure. And so, I'd really love to get your opinion on this one. And an opinion on the scores as well, so your business.
Well, I would just have to say that Amanda Serrano did just come out with that she's going to be on the Paul Fury undercard again, and she's in that lightweight division too. So this might have been like a coming out party for Michaela to be like, I'm ready for a fight like that with Serrano. You know what I'm saying? Like so. She was able to demonstrate like, I'm on that level too. If the fight went, if it's like how you said.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I think Serrano's a little bit lighter. I think she's at 122. Is that right?
Yeah, no. And now this fight that she's about to fight is going to be a lightweight. She's moving up.
Okay.
She's doing a lightweight fight against Gutierrez, Miriam Gutierrez. So that she's moving in that same direction as far as, like I said, all the women fights right now that's being had, they're all in that super featherweight to lightweight zone. So you got KO, Kaylee Reese with a WBA title. You got Amanda Serrano up there now. You got Alicia Baumgartner fighting Terry Harper,
right,
who has the 2 belts. Like, they're all in that 10-pound range that they go by in women. So they're trying to heat it up real quick. And shout out to DAZN for putting on some of these fights,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as main events or co-mains. And shout out to Top Rank for putting Michaela on as well as the top, fight. So we're getting better, but not good enough. But we're seeing small baby steps.
And that Harper Baumgartner is airing this weekend, the 13th.
Yeah, the 13th.
On DAZN. That'll be middle of the day because that one is from Sheffield, England. Another title fight with Kid Galahad and Kiko Martinez for Galad's IBF featherweight title. We got quite a bit of boxing this week, and you got David Benavidez and Kyrone Davis. That's on Showtime.
That might be better than what people think too, because Kyrone Davis has demonstrated that he can give people problems. So
now, is this the Kyrone Davis that fought Martez McGregor?
I don't know.
Am I looking at the same guy? I gotta look this up.
Oh, it is like when it was all the bad stuff going on, like.
Yeah, Martez was. Well, it was Martez McGregor fought this last weekend. Yeah, that your boy. But
that's messed up.
no, but I'm wondering if this is the same cat that fought him, because his name really resonates with me. So I'm thinking that might be him.
It sounds like.
Yeah, we could check it out. I mean, I
I'll
know
look it
his
up.
name from the fight before that too, where he gave somebody problems, and I gotta look it up because I can't remember right now, but.
And then later on DAZN, that same day, we also have Munguia versus Rosado.
Munguia, yeah.
And that's going to be an exciting fight for however long that lasts.
Meaning what?
Somebody getting knocked out.
Kyrone had I know what it was, guys. Kyrone had the split, the draw with Anthony Durrell, the dog, and then fought your guy McGregor.
Is that him?
So he can give people some problems, but hey, Munguia, listen, it's do or die now. It's like if you can't get through Jacob, I'm sorry, not Jacobs. What's his name? I forgot that quick. His opponent, Munguia's opponent,
Rosado.
Rosado.
If you can't get through Rosado, you got some problems. So this is a big step-up fight, in my opinion, for Munguia. So we can finally see, like, hey, is he really got the goods or not? This is that type of fight for me.
This is Rosado getting fed to the lions again for me. I don't know. Go ahead, James. Sorry.
No, he had a knockout in his last fight, and he looks like he's on a kind of a comeback trail. And I think this is a good fight for him. Gabriel is a gym rat. That guy does not leave the gym. He's always in great shape. He's always working out. He's working out in the sand at the beach. He's taking good care of himself, eating right. He's an awesome fighter to follow. Really inspirational. And Munguia, Jaime Munguia just brings it. I mean, he's a freight train. And Rosado can fight that fight. He can also box on the outside because he's smart. Rosado has just got a lot of experience, and so this is a tough one. It's a tough call. I have no idea. I haven't really had a chance to look at the odds here, but I can imagine they're pretty close. It's a really, really tough call here.
Yeah,
can't wait to see this.
That's a nice fight. And remember, I believe that Rosado actually won that fight against Danny Jacobs.
That was close. It was a really close fight.
Like,
yeah.
That was a Miami fight, but that was. Ooh, I was like, damn, Danny, you ain't looking too hot in this fight right now. I'd rather be Rosado on this one. So I think that Rosado brings a lot as far as competition is concerned. And like I said, I think that's the best name as far as Munguia's record that we can really compare.
No, yeah, this is definitely a good measurement fight for Munguia. And like I said, every fight Rosado's been in, is always a good fight. So it's going to be entertaining no matter what.
Yeah, you know we're gonna see some blood because he gonna cut up somewhere. Like it's, it's gonna be a cut over the eye, or cut below the eye, or on the nose. It's gonna be something.
Yeah, and this is obviously Golden Boy, and I'm looking at the card, and they really don't have anything listed yet. I was hoping that Diego De La Hoya would be on this. I know that he's got a fight coming up, but he's not.
Where has he been at? Like, what happened there?
God knows.
Because
But
I
they
was
got
looking at that kid, I thought he had like, he looked promising in his earlier fights. I don't like. It seemed like a lot of time has gone by.
yeah. The only undercard fight that they have listed here is Alexis Rocha, which is a brother to Ronnie Rios. Ronnie Rios has got a fight coming up as well. But that's all they have listed, so it's kind of sucks that they don't have a full card of there. This is California. This is Golden Boy. It should be a pretty nice card. It's too bad that it's not up yet. Or they really got to dial into BoxRec and, give them the information so they can post it. But be interesting to see who else is on this.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, they did something kind of funky with the Benavidez fight too, where they have like a Miller, what is he called? Something that Memphis Miller. They got him on the untelevised portion of the. I'm like, damn, when did he get demoted to that? Like, I felt like he should at least have been televised, but they're saying that he's going to be on the untelevised part. So I don't know what's going on with that. Who is that going to be with? Is that Showtime? That's a Showtime fight?
This is all
The Benavidez fight. It's on the undercard of Benavidez.
Oh,
The
I'm not
Benavidez
sure.
fight is on Showtime.
That
It's
would
on
be
Showtime?
it's all Top Rank.
Okay.
And then
Both-
Mangao
both-
Rosado's Diazio.
Yeah, both Benavidez are fighting.
Yep. Jose Benavidez taking on Francisco Torres.
What do y'all think about him, Jose Benavidez?
I saw his last fight, and he looked pretty shot physically. And that was, I believe it was against Terrence Crawford, and just outclassed, outgunned and outclassed, and
It's something's
gassed.
wrong with his knee or something, right? Like he has something.
He
some
took
kind
a
of
bullet to his
injury.
leg a couple of years ago.
Yeah, like
In some sort of drive-by or whatever it was, in some gang-related activity or whatever, and I don't think he really had fully recovered.
No, yeah.
And so he looked horrible against Crawford. I mean, anyone would. Anyway.
Yeah, like that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is like, see how you still don't know where somebody's level is when they fight somebody that's like that outclassing them. It's like, dang. Well, we really don't know.
Right.
But I know that the leg didn't look good in that fight.
And to be off since 2018, I mean that's not good. It's a lot of ring rust.
Dang, yeah, he need this payday. I'm sure that money been ran out.
So, eager to see what he's got left. But been a great show. Thank you for coming on, and thank you all for arguing but keeping it civil. And we'll see you again next. Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
Yeah, Sakura, you got your homework.
Yeah.
You got your homework. Love to hear your opinion on that.
I'm gonna make an exception for you on this one.
All right. Love to hear your opinion on this.
Well, thank you all for tuning in again. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, every Tuesday. We are Tough Talk Tuesday. We don't pull any punches. Check us out, www.heavybagboxing.com. Have a good week, guys.